All right, ready?
Yeah, hold on.
3, 2,
1. Do we wait? Wave star. Is that a thing?
Look, by the way, if someone says, "Are you ready?" and your response is, "Yeah, hold on," that's
Okay.
response.
Oh,
Right, yeah,
so
yeah.
you can wave star.
Oh, really?
Do wave star. Ready?
Well, yeah, I guess, but
1.
oh yeah, you can. Yeah, I'm prepped. Go on.
Oh, well, do it again now.
Waiting for it.
Oh,
Whee,
yeah.
Look at that.
Wave star.
Features.
Perfect.
OG features.
Mm-hmm.
It's only because we're two long-term nerds that we know about that.
That's right. Oh, it looks like you're a scrapper.
Yeah, I'm a scrapper. Hello. Before this video, you linked me a mini montage you did.
Mini montage.
So I do have a very good idea of what we're going to look at today.
Yeah,
for
it's
a rare occasion.
It's pretty self-explanatory, but it is a lot of fun to use. I don't know if anybody. I guess should I just put it right now in the video, like at least a part of it?
Yeah. Why not?
Okay, right now. Watch it. Okay, we're done. Good, congratulations, you watched it.
That'll save you on the video because it means you don't have to mess about like editing footage over the top because people know what it is now.
Oh yeah, so I don't have to do the whole thing again. Okay, yeah, I won't do that.
It's
well,
easy.
Maybe I will. Who knows? Okay, so what are we doing here?
Well, is this a bootspad build?
I guess so. It's more like a bootspad using mechanics in the game for your advantage.
Yeah, I think what you're about to talk about, I don't really know specifics, so I'm excited to hear the specifics. But the whole idea of the template thing, I think, is really interesting.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty cool, which makes it almost feel like it's not a bootpad build to me. It feels like it's like a double build,
it's a double build.
It's more of a game engine thing almost.
Yeah,
almost,
I think we talked about this a tiny bit when we were filming the balance update on your video, but.
Yes.
But I, on my NG, have taken to, every once in a while, I don't do it that often, but in World vs. World, I certainly have been doing it, making a prep build for entering combat. Because of the fact that they're build templates now. And one of the aspects of build templates is that with going into your options menu, in control options, you could go all the way down here, and there is the option to keybind build templates and equipment templates to numbers or to keys.
Now, you can't bind those to the same number. Or the
No,
same
they
key,
all
right?
have to be different. So
that's a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
It'd be kind of cool to be able to press 1 and full
and
swap.
have both equipment and yeah, that would be great. But no, you can't do that. Instead, I have them on my numpad, and it's like press 3 and 6, and you get your one build, and press 2 and 5, and you get your other build. And yeah, it's
there's a like loading thing with it, right? Like loading a template. It doesn't take that long though.
no, it's like less than a second.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's nearly instantaneous, and it has to be done out of combat, obviously. And it's great because it means that you could, for example, in my case, as an engineer, have a buffing build that just pressing a couple of buttons gets you like all of the boons in the game and 25 stacks of might.
Yeah.
And then you just swap over to some other build and do stuff with it.
You resisted the temptation to blow me up there.
I may have.
I came down so you could. I came down so you could if you wanted to.
Okay,
Ready.
so that's the
remarkable self-control.
I do. So that's one of the aspects of this build is that I guess I'll put links of both of the things I do for this. Basically, I just have what's it called? Any kind of boon duration gear.
Concentration-oriented gear.
Yeah, concentration-oriented. Mine is the Diviner's gear. Diviner's gear.
Oh, so you stayed glassy even on your prep build.
Even on my prep build, but you could go complete tanky. You go minstrels if you want, just because if you're walking around world versus world in your prep build and you get surprised, you will be dead in Diviner's gear on your prep
Yeah,
build.
exactly, yeah.
But maybe in minstrel you might be able to survive and just be annoying for a little while. Who knows?
So the prep build, you can prep on any class, right? Like I saw people beat Nightmare Mode CM Syax in 20 seconds the other day. Oof. Because they had the whole team doing like prep builds with Guardians where they got multiple precast power Bane Signet across the whole team, and then they went bombing in and they just like they did so much damage. It's insane.
Yeah.
But on NG, it's especially good, right? Because
prep builds on NG are interesting in that this is something that's been in the game for a long time. If you cast your Elixir U, let's say, and you toss your Elixir U a tool belt skill, if you swap that skill to something else, although the skill is still down on the cooldown of the Elixir U, the tool belt skill is not down.
Yeah, so you can you've always been able to extra cheese on NG. Like the classic one is the flamethrower swap, right? Like you could play any build you like, but before you start fighting, just put a flamethrower on, hit the tool belt skills so that you get the,
exactly, and have it not on cooldown anymore. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I probably shouldn't mention this, but like yes, if you have like, well, you start with 3, what's it called? Templates, right? You start with 3 build templates. So technically, in your 3rd build template, you could have a flamethrower, which I do, and put that on. Oops, sorry about that.
Oh wow! Well, you've gone the triple prep.
You
double
can
prep.
if you want to, but there's no real need for it.
I'm just trying to combat break for you.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Wow. So does that actually add a lot? Is the flamethrower all you can do on a second prep build for NG?
Pretty much, yeah. I don't triple prep. This actually first build is just my going around PvE build.
Right.
So yeah.
Now I've got another question for you, Boots.
Mm-hmm.
The engineer just got weapon swap.
That's right.
So you could are you doing the thing where you have a rifle or whatever weapon you don't use, just lingering, and you put a do you do that? You do so.
My other weapon is a hammer at this point. It's a hammer that has a sigil of cruelty on it.
So that's the crit damage one, right?
That's the crit damage one because you get since you're starting combat with 25 stacks of might. An additional 250 power from Bloodlust is not as big of an increase as flat base crit damage buff from Cruelty.
Okay, cool. So when you must have to have that hammer in both prep build and main build,
you
right?
do
Otherwise,
indeed. You do indeed. Although to be honest, you don't even need the Cruelty. It's like another 13% damage, but you don't need it to do your burst properly.
Okay, yeah, because this is an enormous burst, right?
Yeah.
This is a crazy
It is an enormous burst. And the glory of the enormous burst is that it is nearly impossible to see coming.
Yes, right. This seems so cheesy. It's insane.
Yeah, so with my gear loadout, it's basically just Berserker gear for the actual damage part and Diviner's gear for the pretty buff part. And you have, I think, if I had Ascended gear, but I have exotic gear. If I had Ascended, it would be 100% 100% crit chance. And right now it's like 98% or something like that.
Yeah, so it's pretty much going to land every time.
Yeah, so your cruelty is full force there. And yeah, now Sneak Gyro used to have a little gyro floating above you, but you can't see it anymore.
Yeah, like right now I see nothing. Like
Exactly.
completely. I have no idea where you are. And I also feel very vulnerable.
You should, but don't worry, I won't get you. But yeah, it's great. Because if you're on your prep build, you catch your things. You have all the boons. You have 25 stacks of might. You're invisible, and you still have a stealth field, so you could even make your invisibility last even longer. You have like probably 20 something seconds to get to your target, so you could start in from like basically out of sight. And
so are you doing anything like where you blast? Like I know in theory. You could complement the Sneak Gyro with a Thumper turret and blast in it with the tool belt.
Yeah, well, the prep build has a hammer, which has 2 leaps, which would be 2 extra stacks of stealth.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Generally, I don't use it because you don't really need it, but I don't use it because I might accidentally hit somebody with it, and I don't want to do that.
Right, yeah. It depends how early on the engage, I guess you are.
Yeah.
It'd be useful if you feel you have to stealth really far away, and then in that situation you can do the 2 hammer leaps because you're far away.
Exactly.
But that helps you close the game. Okay. There it is. Jesus. Okay, so talk to me. How does that half of it work? So we've dealt with the prep and the stealth, right?
I actually messed that up. I made it a little bit more visible than it should have been. So the prep is as follows: you are a scrapper, and as a scrapper, you get your sneak gyro, you get your medic gyro, but more importantly, you get some traits that, based on might, you might get quickness on top of that, and on top of that, you get might based on stability. And your elixirs that you're using, which are also buffed by alchemy line, are giving you all of that stuff together. So tossing your elixirs, as you can see, you're going to get up to 25 stacks of might no matter what. And also 7 other buffs.
Yeah.
And you also will have around 16 or so seconds of quickness that are there for you to use when you want to use your burst. And your third line doesn't really matter. I'm using firearms just in case I get caught in this build fighting, so that I could still use it. But you could use anything else. Sometimes I use tools and go power wrench so that I could swap back to the prep build and do some dodges, and that'll reduce the cooldown of the sneak gyro, so I could use it again more soon.
That's cool. I like that idea.
Yeah. But otherwise, it'll be on a 60-second cooldown, but with the dodges in it, you might get it down to like 45 seconds or something like that.
I suppose there's not really any... the other thing in tools is you can obviously take the kinetic battery, but if you're not in combat, it doesn't prep anyway.
Exactly.
So.
I first tried it like that, but it doesn't work.
You have to cheese a full damage thing or something.
So you're coming in completely in stealth with like 20 seconds to spare. You swap here, and because of your 2 potions, your 2 elixirs being on the 8th and the 9th slots, those are 2 things that you will not be able to use. So you have 1 open though. And that's going to be your blast gyro.
Okay.
And the interesting thing about blast gyro is, yes, it also stacks might for you as it counts down, but it's also invisible while you're in stealth. Like there is no tell.
The raid, a skill that the devs believed a raid telegraph was appropriate for, can be completely hidden by stealth.
Yeah. So it's hidden by stealth entirely, and it's great. It's like a great flavor thing too, because it's got this like countdown for you.
Yeah, it was so perfect for the video you did. So good.
Yeah.
By the way, I just want to say about that telegraph. Mm-hmm. I bet if ArenaNet chooses to nerf stuff like this, it would be that telegraph they would make visible outside of stealth.
Oh, the blast gyro?
Or even while in your... Yeah, I think so. Because Engineer is full of stuff, like, while you're in stealth, you can see anyway. Like, you can see hollow pads, and you can see static discharge, and you can see magnet pulls. It's all to stop Engineers cheesing stealth one-shots.
Yeah.
And basically, this blast gyro is just a couple of months old, and it's not got that treatment yet. But I bet that they do it. I bet if there's going to be a
it's possible. The blast gyro in this build is probably only going to do around 7,000 to 10,000 damage, which is a lot. Don't get me wrong, that's a lot. But it could easily be replaced. Like, you could just put grenades in that slot instead, and then...
Yeah, you can probably kill most people, nearly everyone, without it, right?
You could definitely kill anyone else without it, yeah. Absolutely, because you could put anything else there instead. You could put throw mine if you're using tools. You could put the rifle turret, and then that will be another tool belt skill that's useful instead of not useful.
Mm.
So if you want to nerf it through that, that's not going to do much, frankly.
Yeah, I mean, maybe what's interesting about this to me is the whole build template side of it and what it's done to the game. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it's the build template side that will be getting more action or needs to get.
Probably.
Because this is just like you want to affect the big thing. By the way, I noticed there when you swap template, it plays a visual animation I can see.
Really?
I can see when you swap template. Yeah.
Show me that.
Do it, and I'll tell you. Just did it there.
Oh, but when I'm invisible, does it?
Oh no! I doubt it while you're invisible. It doesn't affect this, but I do think it's interesting. I can see when you sort of template.
Oh, that is interesting.
But they left it as a really subtle thing.
Yeah.
I mean, why not make it big?
Yeah, it's subtle.
Yeah.
Huh, okay, that's very interesting. But, okay, so where were we, though? We were back at the burst.
Yeah.
So,
tell me how it works.
So, the traits...
Oh, I love your skin, by the way. It looks like a shotgun. It's perfect for this.
So, the traits are pretty self-explanatory. You're doing your firearms again with high caliber for crit chance, with no scope for crit chance and ferocity, and finally modified ammunition, which deals an extra 2% damage for each condition on your foe.
How many condies are you actually putting out? Vuln from explosions?
Vuln from explosions, and you're taking shrapnel as your grandmaster in explosions, so you're doing another 2 over there.
Oh, cool.
And then you're going to be taking grenadier as your minor trait in explosives, which now has just been changed, no longer on fall damage, but now on heal skill. You're tossing out a lesser grenade barrage. The grenade barrage is the thing that does the most damage in your arsenal here for the burst. A lesser grenade barrage is not quite as good for a couple of reasons. I was hoping it was going to be...
Show me it. Use your heal. Let's see.
Yeah, I was hoping it was going to be a lot better, but unfortunately, look what happens.
No, it's still it's some condies.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a ring around you.
Exactly. So that's the issue. So instead of being concentrated like grenade barrage, where you could hit them with every single one of the grenades... The lesser grenade barrage throws it around you. So, yeah, you're probably going to hit with 2 to 3, maybe 4 grenades of it. And they're all half damage of the grenade barrage. You still use it, though, because it does do damage. And not only that, but you could time it so that the thing is with it, with Medic Gyro, it's a fast cast. But on top of that, the grenades come out maybe a second after you cast it. So you could time it so that the grenades from the Medic Gyro only appear when your other grenades are coming out.
And before all of that, you've got the Blast Gyro prepped. So it's 3 animations in the same second.
They all have, if you time it properly, and you could time it by the nice circle countdown animation there, where it is in the circle, you could time it to all happen simultaneously.
Nice.
Yeah. And then your other... skills are your choice, really. I use a rocket turret because the rocket is a pretty short tool belt skill cooldown. Casting, and it's a lot of damage. It is a lot.
Do you have the powder pack as well?
The powder pack?
Yeah, from Tools.
The powder pack from Tools.
It's Master. It's like the bottom trait in Master or the top trait in Master. One of those.
Oh, I'm not using Tools in this build.
Oh, okay. There's no tools. It's firearms, explosives, and scrap.
Yeah, I mean, you can use tools instead of firearms if you don't mind upping your crit chance in other ways.
Right, okay.
Yeah. And then, for Scrapper, I'm using System Shocker because you don't need the extra might from Mass Momentum. And a daze on your function gyro is always nice. And Object in Motion for extra damage, and Applied Force for that quickness. And extra the 200 extra power is nothing to laugh at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big thing for Scrapper for sure.
Mm-hmm. So
it's 3 skills. That's the 3 skills.
It's very simple. It's very simple, and obviously you could use your blunderbuss, which is also very fast when you have quickness and does a ton of damage.
And I've noticed sometimes when people survive, you jump shot on them after they've been hard CC'd by the.
Yep. Some people have told me that they would rather even use hammer as their weapon instead of blunderbuss. Instead of the rifle, which is fair. It just won't do as quick damage, but it still does a ton of damage.
Because the weapon doesn't really matter that much.
Exactly.
I think probably hammer does. Hammer 2 would be wild. Like I would just slam a hammer 2 out as it all lands.
Yeah, it's true.
If you have that space, and then a thunderclap would be a hard CC afterwards or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
So that's the build. Well. It's very straightforward. I hope it gets. I mean, it's probably going to get nerfed. In some respect, but maybe not. You never know. It's not. It's like it's the kind of build.
You just cut yourself off mid sentence saying you hope it gets nerfs. So basically, you hope it doesn't get nerfs because you think it's cool.
I think it's cool. I hope it doesn't get nerfs. I could see why it would get nerfs. So I wouldn't be upset if it does get nerfs. But it's the kind
I love the idea of a combo build. I'll give you that. It's very cool, right? The idea of having 2 builds working together. And you just use the templates to swap them. That's like badass, right?
And you just remember it's not without its weaknesses. Like if you fail your burst, you're probably dead. There's a very high likelihood that you're going to die because you have no survivability.
Well, that's not really an argument, though, is it? Because it's not about you, and it's not about if I'm fighting you, it's not about me anymore. There's nothing I can do. All of it is it's just your game, your story. It's did he mess up on his end?
Yeah, no, but that's not entirely
true. I have no power
because there are 1, 2, 3 classes that could just negate the burst by having passive traits.
What are you talking about? What passive trait?
Warrior,
Ranger. You're talking about like Defy Pain and stuff.
Defy Pain.
I guess, yeah, that is true.
Stone Signet, and the Thief has an Acrobatics, the Evade trait.
But I would still propose to you that that's then on you. Why are you bursting one of those targets?
Good point.
You know?
Yeah.
You can't deny that a global out of stealth from such long duration stealth isn't bad for the game. You can't. There's not actually an argument in that, Boots.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
But, as far as, like, using the new feature to do something really interesting, I think it's very cool. And I'd love to see where else that stuff like that can be applied, you know?
Yeah.
I also like to see that Scrapper is what you went with for the burst half, you know, because you could do other things. You could do, here's what I kind of wanted to propose to you after I saw this. A combo build, as you've made it, which is a double scrap. Well, not really double scrapper, but, you know, it's using Scrapper. I like the idea of double comboing with Hollow, where your prep build applies stealth and stuff, and then you do an overheat Hollow build, where the burst is overheating, because that is like one of the biggest single strikes in the game.
You can. The only problem is I don't think you retain heat when you're swapping.
Yeah, you'd have to build it, and if you're building heat while in stealth, they can see Corona
they
and they can see stuff. So it's like, how do you do that? And that is an interesting puzzle right there.
Another question is, can you do instead maybe a core NG build, like with tools and firearms and explosives, and then do what's it called, the elixir, and have the MOA transform as an idea pre-burst. Do like Warrior, Ranger, and those passive traits, do they still trigger if they're in MOA form?
I can't. I really couldn't tell you. I think that they do. I don't think you lose traits just because you're a mower.
Okay.
But I can't remember like getting dodge roll procs while I'm a mower and stuff, and that's a trait. So maybe they are declined. I know that mower's really cool. Like if you mower a minion monster, he loses all the minions. If you mower a rampage, you kick him out of it, or a lich form and stuff. There's a lot of fun stuff like that about it. So it'd be cool if it denied all traits as well. That might be an interesting way to make it more used.
Yeah. So anyway, it's something to think about. And, I mean, there's nothing else to say about it. It's just a lot of fun to use, a lot of fun to watch me use, and very, very killable.
That's awesome, dude. I really like it. I mean, this to me is a true expression of the kind of balance you have in World vs. World.
Yeah.
Enjoy, kiddos.
Enjoy. I'm sorry I didn't do a Mad King rune for you. I'm sorry.
Yes, I was going to gloss over it. I figured I wouldn't be a stickler about it, that what had happened was either this started because you were trying to Mad King burst people, because Mad King Theorycraft tends to end in kind of a bursty place, and then it had gone from there maybe or something.
Yeah.
But I was just gonna drop it. If you can't figure it out, Boots. I mean,
come on.
If you're not good enough.
You know I could figure it out. Do you want to do why it's bad for this? I think I have said. I mean, you've already made the arguments. It's obviously a squishy build. Before we started recording, I was only vaguely aware of where you were because a sentry had put a red dot up. I saw the dot disappeared, and therefore I knew you were trying to burst me. You know, so there are little things, I guess. People can spam detection pulses or whatever, but I mean, I think that's unrealistic. I think what you're trying to do with it, you do very well. I just think that, it's unhealthy for the game. It will probably get nerfed. That would be maybe an answer as to why it's bad. There might be some other minute changes you could make that don't require such a long setup for the burst. There might be things you could change about the build that stop you being so counter-killable in the world where you failed the burst as well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
But I don't know, because I've never even tried to make a build like this, really.
Yeah.
Like a combo build, especially, obviously, because build templates only just came out. So maybe there's some refinements to the concept which leave you less vulnerable. A method of stealthing back out maybe or something.
Right.
So maybe that's a thing, but I couldn't tell you, so...
Okay.
For now, I'll just assume it's the most optimal version.
It's
as
pretty.
it can
I
be.
mean, it's probably not the most optimal version, but it does feel like the most optimal version.
Like, one thing that might be kind of nice is some extra stealth or maybe super speed or something, so that once your burst is done, you can escape and break combat again, because you're not going to do anything worthwhile until you can get back out and reset the full combo. You know?
Yeah, it's true. Like,
So-
maybe instead of rocket turret, you go bomb kit and then drop a smoke bomb and get some more stealth or something. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe there's something somewhere, but yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me, and I hope that this leads a lot of people in World vs. World to hate me.
Yeah, they may well do. Thanks, dude. It's been really fun. Very cool as always. Are you thinking of doing more combo builds for the next one, maybe?
Combo builds? Nah, I'm not so keen on it. I as much as fun as it is to do in World vs. World, I don't like having to swap out of combat all the time.
Well, what about like a Venom combo build? That could totally work.
Yeah, that's true.
You know,
Yeah,
or
maybe.
something like that, maybe.
Maybe.
All right, we'll see.
Okay.
Well, thanks very much, Boots. It's been very cool, dude.
No problem. See you later.